Hello, this is Jane Stavum, Superintendent of the Sioux Falls School District, and this is our podcast. Join us for an audible look inside the Sioux Falls School District, where we'll put a spotlight on the people, places, and practices of our district. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our podcast. Today, we have with us Rebecca Wimmer, who I will credit myself with hiring as one of the brightest things I ever did as a superintendent of the Sioux Falls School District. Yeah, well, they can believe it or not, but you have really added a lot of things, and today our focus is on partnerships. Yes. And so we're going to talk about how you came to be in the district and kind of a little bit of the why behind that. So I wanted to start with where we are right now. We have an event coming up this month called The Power of Partnerships. It's a celebration, started as a breakfast. Yes. Because I think one of the things that's unique about the school district, from my perspective, is the number of community partners that we have. And we wanted a way to kind of quantify that and the opportunity to say thank you. Yes. So this one's coming up. Tell us a little bit about what it's going to look like.
Absolutely. So our event is on Tuesday, April 22nd. It's going to be out at our CTE Academy. And we've just invited community partners that are involved all throughout the district, whether it's at the school level, at the district level. Anyone who has a partnership with the district is invited just to come and help us celebrate all the work that goes into what they do every single day to help support and show up for our kids.
Mm-hmm. It's really fun. And when I first came, I was looking for a list, and we didn't really have one. And I thought, well, we probably need to kind of begin to craft this so that we really know and can be intentional about how we recognize and cultivate those relationships. So now we have a list, and you've made that list like really good. How many are on the list?
We have over 340, and I think when I started with the district a couple of years ago, the list contained maybe 60 to 70 of our partners. And we knew that there were more partners out there. There just wasn't a manner to quantify that and to put it all in one place. And so that's one of the things we focused on, is creating that comprehensive database, working with our schools for them to list out, who are all of the people, the businesses that really support your school, and then combining that all together. And it's so fun to see all the different ways that our community is showing up for our kids, the different things that they're infusing into the education, into the after-school program, how they're supporting different needs for our kids and our families in our community. So to see that all quantified in one place, really it is humbling and makes me extremely grateful for the community we live in.
Yeah, and it's one of the most beautiful spreadsheets I've ever seen. I'm just going to say it is a database because we now know what people are doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it, when they're doing it. And sometimes even I know as a former school principal, you lose track a little bit of some things that happen over time, and this way we can also know kind of what happens year to year and what came because of a need or a circumstance versus some other way that a partner might come into the door. So tell us what your actual title is.
I am the coordinator of community partnerships and after-school programs.
And who made up that title?
I believe that would be yourself,
yes.
Dr. Stavum.
Yes, I did, because that community partnership thing is really important. I think people know you now as somebody who's also developed our CLCs, but that part of your job and your job title is equally, if not even more important than just the CLC aspect of what you do.
Absolutely.
So if we were to follow you around for a week, how does the partnership part of your work take place during a week? What does that look like?
I will say that is probably one of the most fun parts of my job, is getting to dream with different community partners. So for instance, this morning I was at a breakfast with somebody, and we were talking about their new role in an organization in the community and how that could intersect, and that brainstorming that happens, and how you can envision something better for our kids, for our community, just by putting programming into either our school day or our after schools. So if you followed me around for a week, you'd see a lot of those moments where I just get to dream with people about what it can look like in the future if we were to work together on something.
And many of those dreams come true, including some of my own that I had. And it was so great after you joined us for me to come to you and say, hey,
I want a cow.
I want a cow, and I'm going to get cows. Not quite before I leave, but I got pigs.
Yes.
But it's the, hey, because what the fun part of being a superintendent is, I'll be at some of those events as well, and people will come up and want to partner with the school district, which is a lovely thing. And then to make it happen, sometimes I could do that, but largely it needs to then move to somebody whose role it is to say, all right, here's all the nuts and bolts that are going to have to get put in the right place in order to make this happen.
Absolutely. And again, that is just so fun to be able to put that together and then to be able to go out and see it in action. So when you go and you see something, so I actually just came from CTE Academy right before this and got to walk through with Penelope, the pig, laying
Is she still
in
there?
She's still there. She'll be gone next Tuesday.
She is leaving soon, I understand.
She is. All her little piglets left yesterday, I believe.
They weren't so little when I was out there a week ago.
Yes.
It was time to leave.
Yep. Found new homes for all of them. But to see something that a couple of years ago was just a dream, and then to find those partners in the community that said, yes, we will step up, we'll help fund this. We'll come in and we'll do some education with the kids. One of our partners that was out there with me today was from Landscape Garden Centers, and the excitement around that greenhouse and what that's going to look like. We can't do that on our own. We absolutely need the community to help support us, and the community needs the support of our kids as they're looking at that workforce development. To be able to match those two things up is so exciting and really benefits everybody.
Yeah. Those are the fun things, and that actually, the whole ag project started because of a community member coming up to me at a meeting and saying, hey, so those are really fun. Let's look a little bit. That's been one of our larger projects. What are some of the smaller partnerships that we have that maybe aren't front page news or not quite as obvious that we're really proud of?
Absolutely. So Tori was just showing me our Groove video. So that's one of our newest partnerships, is with Groove Inc. here in Sioux Falls, and they're coming in, and through a grant with the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation, we're getting to allow our kids in the after-school program to take lessons in percussion. And so to watch the progression of those kids from the first day when they just start banging on those drums to being able to put on a performance for their parents 10 weeks later, and it's cohesive, see their excitement. It's a little thing that's not going to make the news, but for those kids, to be able to have that experience is just fantastic.
It's, it's interesting when we look at some of the narrative around public education right now. I will just say it absolutely doesn't match. When you go into our schools, into our after-school programs, there's so many opportunities for kids, and there are so many willing partners here in Sioux Falls and really in many places. But the trick really is having a mechanism for bringing those partnerships to life. If you were going to advise another district, large or small, about community partnerships, what are some of the most important ingredients that a school district should have?
First, I would say an open mind to think about what could something look like, because sometimes even the most unseeming things can turn into really unique partnerships. And so you look at that and go, how would we ever make that work? We've got a couple of agencies here in town that are dealing with things like sex trafficking or drug addiction, and you're thinking, I don't want to talk to my kindergartners about that. But what they do bring in is they're bringing some self-esteem and working with the kids on how to build each other up, how to have good friendships, because those are the foundations for being able to hopefully resist when some of those things come along. And so I think open mind is one thing. And then just a willingness to do whatever it takes. It's a lot of work for those partnerships on both sides of the fence, having to make a lot of sacrifices to make those work. And when I think about what some of our community partners, especially in our after-school programs, some of the things that they're willing to do to make sure that our kids are successful and that all kids have access to programming, it's pretty incredible. And so just that willingness to do whatever it takes to make sure kids get what they need.
I think, I've always tried to be somebody in my professional life who says yes before I have to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big difference in mindset. And eventually you might have to get to know.
Absolutely.
Or we have the very real aspect in a school district of policies and
Mm-hmm.
procedures and those things. And you're right, partnerships can be really cumbersome and messy and difficult, but in the end, I haven't come across one yet that hasn't been worth doing it for what the outcome ultimately is for children.
Yes.
So sometimes adults just have to get over themselves and get on
Yes.
with trying to figure it out. Maybe the legislature or Congress could take some lessons and just get over yourself and get on with what
Absolutely.
works for kids.
You
But
know,
I don't know.
What works for me is when I'm in those places, going out to a school
Yeah.
and seeing those kids and seeing the interactions and what's happening because of those partnerships,
Mhm.
and everything else just disappears because that's the purpose behind it. And so I can endure a lot of things if it means that our kids have
Mhm.
access to the things they need to be successful.
I will say that for me, I've never been able to not see partnership opportunities. And I think we're wired a bit the same that way. I did my master's thesis on community partnerships, which I had actually forgotten about at one point. I went, hey, I wrote a paper on that and did research. And the very first partnership that I really remember was when I was student teaching. And somehow I talked a nearby pet store into letting me put live animals in the display case in the elementary school where I was. And then I had my third grade students taking care of them. And we only had one fatality. The
Excellent.
gecko
You can't
did
drop
not
those. Yeah.
survive well. And then lo and behold, I went to give a spelling test and my colleague had stuck it in my teacher's manual. So the gecko greeted me. I thought maybe this wasn't my best idea, but it was a lot of fun and it led to some other opportunities for kids. But, community partners who were willing to give me large femur bones of cattle when I was creating an archaeological dig in my classroom, and somebody who brought in a sheep to shear every year as part of a lesson on, ag and my little first ag in the classroom grant. So there are so many touch points out there. If you see the world through that partnership lens, the sky is really the limit in our classrooms.
Absolutely.
So how do we encourage our community members to step up and potentially be a partner with the school district?
I think for me, it's that dreaming piece. If you could dream of what you would like to see for our kids in the future, when I sit down with the community partner and ask them, tell me what you would dream this to look like, that takes on a whole different direction for them, because they really step back and they don't think about the nuts and bolts. They don't think about all the barriers. They think about the possibilities. And if I can get a community partner just to take a few minutes and just dream. If you're out there and you're listening and you're a partner in any type of industry, take a few minutes and dream what it would look like if kids could be exposed to what you do every day. And then come to us and say, okay, I've got this dream. How can we make that happen? Because I guarantee there is a way that we can make that work into our system.
Mm-hmm. We make a lot of dreams come true in public education. I think it's also really comforting for children to see somebody doing something as an adult that they love to do. We've had gardeners and we've had people that come in and choreograph dance, and people who come in through a partnership like JA and talk about where they work and what they do. And I think it's harder and harder to articulate what is it that this adult does, other than they sit and stare at a computer screen or they are in meetings. And when kids find out really how things work, it's really exciting to them. And that's when they catch the magic of what it's going to be like to be an adult.
Yes, and I think the reverse is true too, when community partners go in and they see kids doing the things that they do as an adult for a job, but they see them being able to practice them and gain skills. It's equal as exciting for that community partner to look at that and go, wow, I remember those days when I was excited about, the math and the spreadsheets, and then I got into finance and went into the banking industry. they have that feeling of what it was like to have that passion
Mm-hmm.
again. And sometimes, to be honest, as an adult, you forget that.
Yes.
You forget that once you had a passion for the job that you have. And so when you go back into those schools and you see the excitement in kids, I do think it invigorates our community partners.
Yeah.
And brings them back to that world to say, this is why I got into this.
And it shows them what's actually real in schools and with kids.
Yes.
And restores, I think, all of our faith in the next generation, because they are very capable and have the world really at their fingertips, which is new possibilities we've never even dreamt of.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think you have one of the most fun jobs in the whole district.
I would
apart
agree.
from mine.
Yeah.
But, it's a unique opportunity that we have, and you've done such a great job. How, from day one, how have things changed maybe from when you started in this role till now?
Yeah, well, day one, I had no idea what a school system looked like. I did not come from that world, and so learning the complexities of the school system, I still today, every time I go into a building, I am in awe of our teachers and our administrators and the time and the effort they pour into
Mm-hmm.
these kids. So that for me was one, is getting to know the school system has been so fantastic. But then, the first part of my time here was largely spent getting community learning centers off the ground. And we have an amazing executive director now in Paul Kaiser, and he's
Mm-hmm.
taken that piece of it. And so I've shifted much more to that community aspect and really being able to further explore that. And so that's probably one of the biggest shifts for me, is not being all community center focused and being able to look
Mm-hmm.
at the district as a whole and say, okay, where else are we going to grow? We've got the after school piece that is going, and now where else can we start expanding things
Mm-hmm.
and really offer opportunities?
Yeah, where can we add value? Every single grade level, subject area, inside, outside,
It's
all of that.
Infinite number of ways that
Yeah.
we could find to grow and provide new opportunities for our kids.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably about the best closing statement that I'm going to get. Our Power Partnership Breakfast started as a breakfast and is now an April after school, after hours type of event,
afternoon
because we
celebration.
got tired of fighting with ice and storms.
Yes. Yep.
And-
Moved it from February, and
Yeah, we gave up
Yep.
essentially on January.
Yep, that didn't work so well. So it's going to be a beautiful event. Hopefully the weather is equally as
Yeah.
beautiful, but I'm just really excited to see so many people in the same room
Mhm.
that have the same heart for our kids that we do.
Yeah. The best part for me is just being able to say thank you.
Yes.
And for people to understand the breadth and the depth of how many caring people we have. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Glad to spend these last few years with you, and super proud of what you've accomplished. And I can leave knowing that the legacy of partnerships will continue.
And you can always come back and check out the cows when we get them.
That's true. I hope I'm invited at least to
Yes.
the ribbon cutting. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you.